Welcome back, folks, to the VIA Pinstriping page. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for watching. So today we're going to be using Alpha Enamel and Lil Dame's Blue. We're also going to be using a Kafka number 0. And we're going to go ahead and start adding some of the cooler tones to this. This is a darker blue, so it's a little bit close to what the purple is as far as tone. So we'll see if we add another brighter blue at some point after this. So we're just gonna pepper in some of this color. The idea with this design is to give you a full color design, and I'm doing it in parts, so there is video on each part, on each color, and I'll put those videos in the comment section. So again, I'm just doing, it's almost like the same thing over and over, but I'm just adding weight where I feel like it's missing something. If I didn't have this video camera on, I would probably move the skateboard around and adjust as I needed to in order to make moves. But because I'm videotaping all of this, this is just kind of staying in one spot, and I'm having to work around almost as if I was working on a car or something. I mean, you can't flip a car around, so no big deal. But as I move the board around and leave it up to dry, I do notice there are some, it's very, very low on the skateboard, but I think it's more or less because of how I'm situated here. And I'm going with this darker blue. Because again, I really kind of don't want to go for a tropical feel. You know, I think a lot of the times I'll go for processed blue, which is a one-shot color, and it's really bright. So I'm trying to stay away from that. I like the darker tones. Let me make sure I'm recording, because I don't have a video camera person, folks. I set up my phone and I do very slight edits now. I figured out how to edit a little bit. So I'll throw my little name tag in there, and I'll ask you folks to give it a like. Some of y'all might have noticed that. Well, I like the way that looks. It skipped out a little bit on me here. I might have moved a little too fast. Basically what happened was I had kind of gaps in the paint there. Sometimes I'll have folks message me and that happens to them. And it happens. All you gotta do is go over it again. It might not be as thin the second time that you go over it. Like, for example, right here. It skipped out on me a little bit here. It just happens. It's really got nothing to do with the paint itself. It's got nothing to do with the brush. It's just, I didn't palette it thin enough. I moved too fast. Maybe I was too high up. A lot of reasons that could happen. So I'm gonna put little bits of blue here. I think I'd like to see about putting some sort of wheat style designs up here in the corner. So I think I'll do, you might not be able to see the tip of that, but Just some that sticks out some here. Now, because I did some on this side, I might do some over here, again, to sort of give it some balance. We'll see where I end up here with this color. See, I got some purple ones that come out this way. Looks like I did mostly purple with those. So, trying to figure out where else I'd like to put a little bit of blue. You can always put a sort of a teardrop shape. So I think I'll put one right here. And I'm just following lines that I see that have sort of openings. My buddy Jim on Facebook asked me, how do you know when you're finished? Well, I think I've heard it said before that art is never finished, it's only abandoned. So I have no idea. At some point I'll just give up. I'll just give up and hopefully when I look back at it, I'll be like, ah, that looks okay, I think. It's really hard to tell. I know from doing these sort of designs on various occasions that I don't like to go too far with certain colors. I understand that there's a certain color profile that I'm going for currently, which is the reason why I'm doing a darker blue. Let's see. See, there's a little gap here that could use some more color. So I'm trying to think of how I'd like to do that. I might just add another one of these and see how that looks. The good thing about spaces like this and the fact that this paint is dry is that if I don't like what I do right here, I can always just erase it. And again, I like these. They're almost like claws. The way I picture them in my mind is almost like crab claws, right? But they sort of, it almost gives the whole thing a flowered effect. If you look at the way a flower opens, that's sort of what I like to do with these. I guess they're like feathers almost. I try to always, if I can, get these shapes of almost like claw shapes. And I'm pretty sure I figured that out by looking at maybe Bugs' designs. The guys from Arizona, Carlitos. I've never met any of these folks, and I watch them from afar, and I mimic sort of what they do and try to gather my own style out of it, which is I think that's pretty much anything anybody could do in the beginning. And I've got about 6 years now doing this, which is nothing compared to what. Again, still trying to figure out my own way. And some folks say that they can see they could tell when it's my design. by some of the elements that I use, but I still feel like I'm still working on trying to gather my own style. I think a lot of the people get a particular style more or less out of necessity when they're doing car shows and such, and they need to move at a certain pace, so they end up with some very particular moves that they use so they can get people in and out. See, I got these little teardrop shapes that go from big to small. I'm going to see if I could follow them. Currently, I think I kind of hit that one at a funny angle. I'm going to see if I can erase that and kind of round that out a little better. But yeah, from what I could tell, when it comes to style, you might have regional influences. For example, again, this is sort of a Southwest influence that I've picked up, even though I'm in the Southeast. I'm in Florida, and the guys that are around me mostly do old school. We got folks like Crisco, Hot Brush, a fella out of Dade City, cool guy. I've yet to meet him. He does a lot of old school airbrush and such, murals. And we have Crisco out here in Brandon. He does do some scroll, but his scroll is a little bit more towards a traditional scroll. I see him do a lot of cool looking golf carts and such. And these guys have done a tremendous amount of work through the car show scene and motorcycle scene, and I think that they've developed styles, out of their constant work through them avenues. When you got motorcycles lined up and you got money to make and that's your job, you develop these moves that you do quite often just to get folks get her done, get folks finished, make some money and move on. And they all do get unique designs, but you might have moves that you do over and over and over. That way you're not sitting there thinking about, like with me, I'm still always thinking, oh, how could I do this a different way or whatever. I'm always trying to innovate what I do, but I don't have 50 people lined up trying to get something done right now. I got nobody. I got a couple of bottle openers that I'm working on. Here's one. I don't know which way you're looking, but there's one I'm doing for somebody named Devlin. They went to USF, so USF colors. I got some that I got to order for somebody online. So little stuff. I could take my time. Nobody's in a rush to open bottles. I'm sure they got some other things that they can use. All right. So I like the way this looks. I think I had some over here, but I might end up using another color over there. I got some space here that needs a little blue. We'll see how I want to do that. Again, I could always just throw some teardrop shapes here and see if they look okay. Try not to stick my finger in the paint. One. They're a little out of place. We'll see. I'll figure something out. I think the next color after this is going to be some sort of green. I'd imagine that will be a little bit brighter. Let's see. I do have this red loop. I could probably anchor off that somehow. Sorry if I put my head in the shot, folks. Should have combed my hair. Might be sticking out. So let me see, I'll put a little sort of a chunky teardrop in here. Yeah, that threw a little bit of blue in there. Just a dab, a little dab will do you. Now let's see, we got some shapes over here. Maybe I'll throw a little something in here. To make sure my colors are well represented throughout, without being overbearing. Let's see. See if I can pull out something that comes out through there, and that might give me my wheat design. I'm going to anchor off of this one and see if I can cut through these. The general rule of thumb is to go from a darker color to a brighter color, but because we're layering so much, sometimes you could break that rule and it still looks okay. I think it really like depends on the style too. I noticed there's a fella by the name of Gooch, Brandon McCoy, I think is his name, and I see him going from dark to light, back to dark, and all that, and it looks phenomenal. So I think it depends on how you do it personally. Alright, I like the way that looks. Let's see if I could throw a few more in there. It's interesting going back and watching. You know, there's a lot of the same videos that when I first started were on YouTube, and that's where I learned mostly, was YouTube, and a little bit on Facebook. I asked a lot of questions on Facebook in a group called Pinstripers Garage. But it's interesting to go back and watch the videos that when I first started blew my mind, and now like how they do things, and watching it now, still mind-blowing, but now I sort of understand what they're doing, because I've had the brush in my hands so many times now, that it's kind of wild to have a different perspective on it now. Let me see here. Kind of want to do a wraparound with this somewhere. I'd still like a little more blue down here. Just don't know how to want to do it. me see here. Let's see if I just add another one of these, if it helps. Not really. Hmm. I'm gonna pull this off and see. Let's try something different. So indecisive. And again, that's why I like to work on these in parts. Every other color is nice and dry. All I got to worry about is the blue. I can come back later and offset that blue with another color. I always try to blow on that to make sure it doesn't start eating into my paint. Generally, after a day or two, you don't have to worry about it, but I can get back into painting sooner instead of waiting for that haze to dry. So I can't help but think I need one of these in here. So let's just throw that in there. Let's see. Try not to stick your fingers in the paint. And that's the general shape. Now I'm just going to make it a little fatter. Go out wider, push down, and lift up. Follow the taper. All right. And maybe give it a little friend to go with it. I don't know if you noticed, but I like to do them sort of in pairs. So a couple together, maybe 2 or 3. Maybe they blend in. They start to become teardrop shapes if you do enough of them. Now with a fatter brush, it's easier to get that done in one stroke. But this is a number 0. This is Kafka's smallest brush, which is, I like the smaller ones. I do have some bigger ones that were given to me also by my buddy Jason, and I really need to give them a shot. Now I'm going to try to give this a little character by adding some loop. And there we go. I like that better. All right, so I feel like the blue's fairly well represented. There might be some space for something over here. Let me take a look. I'm thinking I could throw maybe a teardrop in between here where this orange is. You know, every time I make these videos, I think, I really hope this is still filming. I always get new phones and I never know how they're going to act with this stuff. And I've never really considered getting a legitimate video camera, just because I feel like I'd have to upload it onto my computer and then this and that, and who's got that kind of time? Ooh. I like where I was going with that, but that last one kind of bugged me out, so I'm going to wipe that last one off and redo it. I think I crashed onto the surface fast. But you can do those little teardrops in a way that they almost look like little sunbursts. Little bursts of paint coming out. And the general idea, again with pinstriping, is to have your eye focus in the middle and work its way outward. Which is why you generally start in the middle and work your way outward with almost any design. Unless you're trying to guide the eye, to a certain direction, down or back. I like that. That makes me happy. Makes me want to do it somewhere else. Maybe here. It's really the only spot I got. I guess I got spots over here. See, all of these loops can be anchors for something. I didn't know that I was going to do that. It just kind of happened. I got these two, but there's no loop in lower for me to get it the way I want, because they start tall and then they go down. This one starts tall and goes down. So I'm thinking if I was to do something here, I can get that to go downward. Let's just try it. See, there's nothing here for me to mess up, so if it doesn't look good, I can always erase it. And maybe this could be something that should be done with another color. But let's see. Now, if you can tell, I put almost no curve to these. They're just straight on. This does have a curve, so I'm just going to hit it at a very hard angle and just try to do straight on. Each one getting smaller than the last. For the most part, I try to just half them. Not quite the same effect, but you know what? I don't hate it, so I think we'll leave it. Thinking I could throw a nice teardrop shape in there. For those of you following all of these long form videos, I really appreciate it. I know they're not quite the same effect as what people are used to nowadays. Is very fast videos, a minute long or whatever. The TikTok era. I got a bunch of those. I like doing the time lapse because I can put on a movie and the time lapse doesn't pick up audio, so I don't have to worry about copyright. YouTube trying to take my video down because I got a movie in the background or music or whatever. And trust me, I would love to put some music on here, but there's always a chance they're just gonna knock it right down. So that alone takes me out of my element. I'm used to listening to something instead of listening to myself talk. So we're going to call it a day. That is the blue. I hope you like it. We're looking at maybe 1 or 2 more colors. It's getting well saturated. Like I said, on the reverse side of this skateboard, I think when I'm done, I'll show you what I did on the reverse side. There's a big old symmetrical design that I started. I kept adding to it, kept adding to it, and eventually I started hating it, and then I started like finishing it out of spite. And I just abandoned it altogether. So that's why I'm using the top of the skateboard for this one. And you know, to be honest, I've put in so much time and effort on this one skateboard that I don't even think I'm going to sell it. I think I might keep this one, just to remember by and to have something. I don't keep any of my art for the most part. I got like 2 or 3 things, and I think I need to maybe at least keep one thing a year. That way, if some folks ever come over, or I ever get a chance to speak to people, I can show a little bit of what I've done, instead of just showing them pictures. So thanks again for watching. Make sure you like. Please give it a like. It helps the algorithm out. It helps YouTube show my videos to people. Please share the videos to folks that you think might enjoy this art form. It's an art form that really does give back if somebody gets into it. And I should have some links to Amazon. I do get a little kickback if you purchase anything through them links. You could purchase absolutely anything if you want. It's mostly links to brushes and paint and such, but you could buy yourself a brand new generator through them links, and it helps keep the lights on for me over here. Helps me get a little bit of extra money, and just helps me out tremendously. Keep an eye out for the next color, and I'll see you guys later.